Activity,
Instagram.
and we are live.
We
So
good?
sorry, we had some
Are we
crazy
back?
technical difficulties. Yeah, I lost my internet connection for a second on this computer, and it had to
Wow.
reboot a couple of times. But we're back up and running, and
All right.
we left off talking about Nikki Haley wanting to give Trump a break. And so
Yes.
give us a break on the
Yes.
technical issues. Do it. Pull a Nikki Haley, okay? Um,
Pull a Nikki Haley.
even though we didn't
That's
incite it,
interesting.
our
Hearing
technical
right there.
difficulties didn't incite insurrection, though. So let's be clear:
That's true.
no
And
insurrection.
we're not okay with insurrection.
Yeah.
No, we're not.
So what I was saying was, I think it was a misstep there because, again, to be president, you still got to pull some sensible people over. It's not all crazies that 70+ million people voted for Trump. All right, and
Yeah.
most of those people
Yes.
most of those people would not have stormed the Capitol. um,
They would not, but they are okay with dismissing or finding a reason to dismiss the actions of the people who did.
well, wait.
That's my
So
problem.
so it's not necessarily the voters that are saying that. Okay, it's I would say it's um, the actual politicians. It's saying that our broadcast has been paused, by the way. So I'm not sure if we're up and running on Facebook or not. It's connecting on. It's
Well, we
weird.
might be paused again.
So, well, it says
Let me
connecting.
tell the Instagram people we'll be back. We'll be back.
Facebook
No, keep going.
stinks. Well, it's saying live video interrupted, broadcast is paused. It should resume shortly. I have no control or start a new video. That's what happened. It started. No, it didn't. It didn't start a new video. I don't know what it's doing. Dang it. Well, that's not fun. I will see if it comes back. So let's just go ahead and keep rolling. Is my thought, and because it'll pop back in.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see. Um. Anyway, in the meantime, and if somebody can see us right now as I'm saying this, go ahead and post "gotcha," and we'll know. But it doesn't look like anybody's watching us right now, Rob. So.
Yeah, they probably have to.
I know, but it says we're live. I don't know. I'm confused by that. So.
I'll take your word for it.
No. Anyways,
Yeah, let me know when we're ready to go.
I just don't know if we're live or not. It's saying no, we're not, or it says it's waiting for live video. So, if I do this, and no, it's not. Okay. I don't know what happened to our whole thing. It's all messed up, bro. Okay, go back to here. Oh, no, it says we're linked now. So it says we're linked, and it says we're connecting. Let me toggle off and on again. Let's try that. What happens there? Maybe. I don't know. And it's usually like a delay, and it's not connected. We're connected. I had to just refresh the whole screen, and now we're back in. So it looks like we're there. Hello. Sorry, everybody, for all of the technical difficulties. It looks like we'll be back in, and it's connected. So we're rolling. All right. So back to Nikki Haley.
Back to Nikki Haley.
Yeah. So we were just making the point that it's not showing up. I think I have to end it, bro, because it's not doing it right now, and I don't know why.
That's it. I'm watching because I also see the feed on my other screen, and it looks like we're there. Unless again, I'm watching an older clip. Oh no, it's this one.
Oh, it is. All right, so it's connecting again. It's just.
I believe we're back.
Okay, we're back. Sorry, everybody, that I'm looking at a screen that says we're not, and we're back. So we're back. No more technical shit. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Technical difficulties.
I'm an idiot. I know. After
It's
the
all
reboot
good.
screwed it all up. So
It's all good. It was
let's
Nikki
skip.
Haley.
It was
She
Nikki
messed up our
Haley.
feed.
Let's skip it over. Let's skip off of her because I feel like it's cursing us right now, and move to another topic.
Yeah.
Especially if they had to keep hearing us try
Yes.
to reintroduce that topic there. So thank you for sticking with us.
Yes. What shall we move on to?
We should probably move on to let's do a little sandwich here. We're bitching about a Republican. Let's talk
Okay.
about some stuff that's changing because Republicans aren't in power
All
right
right.
now, and maybe we
No,
go
they're
back.
not.
There's a couple other Republicans I think we wanted to talk about a little bit later on. But so far, what
Yes.
would you do? What would you give for a rating of what you've seen? And it's so dumb to say that, right? Like, so I'm going to preface with it's really hard to put a judgment on this administration in how they do things, but we can make it, there's going to be a judgment on what they have done to show that what they're planning, right? And what do you think are some of the things that you're really appreciative of that's happened so far?
I mean, I am appreciative that they are. It's multiple things, right? It's way too soon, I think, to give any administration actually credit for doing things. But they're
Exactly.
starting to do
Exactly.
things. It's too soon to see if it's going to actually pan out. But that they are in the Paris Accord again, that they have rescinded the transgender ban. What else? That they are moving towards conversations about racial equity.
Mm-hmm.
That they seem to be having a plan
Mm-hmm.
for COVID
Having a plan.
and vaccine distribution.
Having a
You know?
plan and then working that plan. That's something to be excited about, I think.
Yes,
Right?
that's very important.
It is. It really is. Okay, so having a plan, and the rollback in the military, first of all, to allow transgenders. I think that was one of those things I thought should have showed up pretty quickly too, and they did it. I think there was a lot done quickly. That was one of the ones because I thought that was a travesty. I actually knew somebody in my martial arts circle where we would train occasionally with another martial arts group, and so we all worked together, worked out together, hung out together, and it was a transgender individual who was actually in the military, was a man, had been a colonel, I believe, and had left the military, as a transgender individual, as a woman, and it happened, I believe, before this had happened. But I'm not in contact with this person anymore. But I always want to have the conversation with her. How much bullshit is this that this happened? Right? These people are just as valid as in the military as homosexuals are, as anybody is. If you want to fight for our country, go the fuck ahead. I mean, seriously, why are we trying to stop anybody for doing possibly the most patriotic thing you can do?
I have no desire to be in the military. I have
neither.
members of my family who are in the military. I'm not
My dad was as well.
pro-war. I'm not saying they are, but it's not my jam. But for the people who do want to serve, if someone's willing to serve and someone has the capabilities and has passed all the necessary tests and requirements, there's no reason. And no one high up in the military was having an issue with this.
Nobody was. The military has always been. I mean, I know there's abuse in the military. There's absolutely documented, just because people are like that in our country. And that's the thing, is the military is our country. I really believe that it represents a lot of the backbone of our country, a large portion of it, and it's usually a lot of minorities and people who are poor and lower, not even middle class, but lower class individuals are in there. And then there's middle class and upper class who join as well because there's traditions in their families or it's a love of country. But I don't understand why we would have any issue with it at all. I mean,
there was no reason. Trump just saw
it's
it as
about them.
something to stir up controversy.
It's red meat. It's red meat for a base that wants to hate people. I feel like that's part of what happens. It's like you want to hate anybody who's not you because you think that they're threatening who you are. I just Doesn't make sense.
And it was also done via tweet. So there was no real, I don't believe, deep conversation with, whatever the top levels are, generals, sergeants. I don't know how those things work, but it was a tweet.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't even
that was
really
enough.
a true
That was
order
enough.
that came out. It was just a tweet,
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean,
which is crazy, but we should not be being governed by tweet.
no, we absolutely shouldn't be, but we are.
But yes, I'm happy that has been rescinded.
Those are quick, easy ones, right? I mean, those are easy executive orders because it's easy to eliminate past executive orders a lot of times. I am really interested in seeing what happens in the next month, right?
Right.
We've already seen that, there's going to be a plan for the vaccines, which I'm excited for. And then, the stopping of federal drilling on federal land. I was like, that was one I almost forgot about, and I can't believe I forgot about it. But there's such a litany of other things that are upsetting.
I know.
The child ban is a big one. The child ban. I'm sorry, that there was the Muslim ban, the child separation policy they had.
Separation.
Sorry. Yes.
Right. But the biggest issue with the executive orders, and, many people have been talking about this, is the fact that it's not like legislation. So the next president can simply come in and now write a new executive order and roll it all back again. We shouldn't be just volleying back and forth like
Well,
this.
I agree with that. So what needs to really happen, and it shut off radio off again, dude. Son of a bitch. Are you kidding me? Facebook.
Uh-oh. Facebook is not happy.
This is Facebook. I know.
They're not happy.
They're not happy. I know.
They're trying to shut us down.
I know. All right. Well, now it's showing that we're on again. Do they need to make up their mind? So on a random subject, because we got distracted and I'm looking at technical things and everything. What do you think is going to happen to Space Force? I had to ask.
I don't know what I thought you were going to say, but that wasn't.
It wasn't it, was it? It wasn't it. I know it had nothing to do with anything else. But yeah, Space Force.
Space Force.
Space Force.
Which is just, and honestly, and this is another one of the things about having a person with his brain wave level in office. He probably just thought the concept of Space Force sounded cool. That's it.
Oh, it's definitely a
There was
penis.
no, like,
it's
deep
definitely
study.
it's definitely like a Humvee kind of thing. It's like a penis size kind of thing, right? Like it's like
Right.
Space Force, huge rockets, and we're gonna do this. I mean, I'm not even saying we shouldn't have a Space Force. I mean, to me, it's really just like the Air Force, though. It's really an extension of the Air Force. So you can have Air Force
to
and
do what?
Space Division. I'm telling you, and we're now gonna go off the rails, but why not? Because this whole show with the technical things has been off the rails. We're getting prepped. We've been getting fluffed for a reveal of aliens at some point. It's gonna happen sometime in the next couple of decades. I'm not saying it's happening right now, because I'm not gonna be one of those people that believes in their time the world's gonna end. Like everybody has that arrogant behavior.
Right.
It always cracks me up.
Yeah, I hate that thought process.
I do
Yeah.
too. But I feel like if you pay attention to this kind of stuff, there's been multiple releases by our government recently of alien stuff, sightings, military, the fighting to get the Freedom of Information Act and getting that stuff out. But like the CIA has put out some stuff, the Navy has put out actual stuff that they've had and transcripts of flights that where their pilots would see something. Astronauts have been coming out with this for a while. You have people like astronauts who were on their deathbed. You have people like Buzz Aldrin who were like, "Yeah, this is a thing. We saw this shit." And you're like, "Well, thanks now that you're telling us this. You've had like 20, 30 years, but more than that." And so I feel like I know we're kind of, this is an off the rails kind of conversation, but it's not. It's like, I think Space Force, I'm not saying we don't need a Space Force. Maybe we do, but I don't think the thing we need to understand though is, first of all, if there are aliens, if they want to get us, we're screwed. All right, we're not.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no Independence Day, so
Right.
the Space Force is more likely like the beginning of an assistant. And again, this is not the thought of Trump. I'm just saying, if a real Space Force to me would be like, how do we learn and assist and create like working with aliens for new technology, and then we could have a Space Force. Otherwise, to me, you're just the Air Force in space. Like it's kind of like I don't
But
understand.
here's the thing that gets me is even if there is, and I actually don't believe that we're it, but I do believe that there's more of
life.
something in the galaxy.
Sure.
Why the long tease? Like it's all these. Oh, we
Why
think
the
that they
long
went by, or
tease?
there was a slight sighting, right? If the whole notion is that it's intelligent life, right?
Right.
Why the tease?
It's good. Maybe because we don't have our shit together yet. Maybe we just don't like. I mean, seriously, like think about
They're
it
waiting
this
for
way.
us to get it together.
Could you imagine for a minute that, like, say you're on our planet and you're on a huge island, right? Let's just say it's New Zealand, but you've never seen another person there. And when you finally
Okay.
do, you're smart, you have like fire, you have all this stuff, and when you finally see like another group of people, they're just slovenly disgusting. They're eating their own feces. They're like or they're
Oh,
playing, you know what I
wow.
mean? Like that's the level of difference. Not that we're doing that, but I mean, well, then again, feces on the Capitol building, so we're still playing with feces. You know,
Yes.
it's
So
Just to
we're
loop
too
it back in.
stupid. Is that what
we're
it is?
too stupid, and we like don't even have the basic table manners for them to even want to hang out with us. All right, and so that's
So they're just like driving by every once in a while to see if we've gotten our shit together.
we're like a zoo. We're like
And
a
they
zoo.
come by, they're like, nope, Ted, they're not
No,
together yet.
no,
Let's turn
we're
back
no,
around."
or we're like a zoo. That's what we are. We're the zoo in the planet. Like we're like a planetary zoo, and they fly by and they're like, check out these crazy animals over here, and they're like, and that's it. They like we're entertainment, and then they
Okay.
move on. Like,
Possibly.
I mean,
I
what
mean,
else? What
I don't know.
else? If they want our land, they could have taken it a long time ago, or resources, whatever it is.
Can we send some people there? Like, can we?
I don't know. I
like,
think they.
offer them.
I don't know.
Jim Jordan.
But
as a,
this Jim Jordan. I love that you're looping these
thing to
guys into
study.
the conversation though, because we're like off the rails talking about aliens, but it was Space Force. It was about Space
they
Force.
are.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
What's
but
gonna
you said
happen?
the word alien. I'm very happy you said that though, because I think that's a thing that this particular administration is looking to. I'm not sure what the word is that they're looking to switch it to, but they want to remove.
Non-citizen, I believe.
Alien?
I think they were going to call them non-citizens, which is literally
Okay.
what they are.
Which is what they are.
They are non-citizens.
Referring to them as
Aliens.
aliens is so outdated and offensive, and
What's
it's
even
funny because people think little things like that don't matter, but they do.
What's even funnier is they're not aliens, because if we say aliens, we go back to the crazy conversation I was just having with you, right? We're talking about they're illegal aliens, which again makes no sense in the context of that conversation. So you can't be a legal alien, can you? Or if you're a legal alien, are you like a Martian? Is that a legal alien? Because you're saying illegal aliens. You know, when you say that, it just it always cracks me up the vernacular that's used in this. You're right.
It is.
They're
I would
non-citizens.
like I like the notion of illegal, just period, also disappearing, right? Because people try to censor it around. Well, they broke the law.
Right.
Okay. Fine. You want to have a conversation about whether or not someone is technically supposed to be here?
Yeah.
Great. But I'm not going to compare someone who, for a reason that I may not be able to relate to, who's trying to escape horrors in the
Yes.
country that they come from.
Yes.
I'm not going to compare that to someone who like broke into a house.
No.
It's not the same thing. They try to frame it that way, like, well, they broke into the American house. Really? Because a bunch of people just broke into the Capitol.
They broke
which I
into the
believe is
Capitol.
actually supposed to be the American house.
That's
And they have a
literally
problem with
the American house. It's funny you say it. That's exactly right. That is actually the American house. And honestly, when you talk, I mean, sensible border security is needed, absolutely. But again, the terrorists don't cross the border by the wall. They fly in if there's a terrorist flying in. But
Yes,
the terrorists are already
they
here.
fly in.
The terrorists are already here because they're domestic terrorists. We have more domestic
Yes, they
terrorism
are.
issues in our country than we've ever had as far as foreign
Yes.
terrorists. And that's the
But
thing
we
that
don't pay attention to it. We dismiss it. If we had paid attention, not if we, but
Right.
if they had looked at like the what's his name, Timothy McVeigh.
Timothy McVeigh.
If that moment had been taken as seriously as it needed to be,
Yeah.
we could have begun to head off some of these issues.
Yeah. Well,
But-
yes. It's that extremism point of view is the scary part, right? And again, it's not the it's the Ted Kaczynskis that are the scariest ones, aren't they? I mean, it's the ones.
Oh my God!
And there was a
Yes,
guy.
living in the middle of the woods somewhere.
There was a guy I read about this guy who was like 55 years old. He lived out in the woods. He was pretty chill, as far as nobody knew who he was. And I want to say he was in Alabama, or I'm pretty sure it was Alabama actually. But people barely knew who he was. And there's places like that, by the way, in Colorado. There's places like that in a lot of states where they have rural areas where people want to be left
Mhm.
alone, and I'm fine. But this guy had driven there, had parked his pickup truck, and he had like 15 or so Molotov cocktails that were designed to like he had like melted styrofoam in there, and because when the Molotov cocktail goes off, it lasts longer that way, and it'll burn you and stick to you more. So there was thought process going in there, you know. Yeah, and they were, he had set up him like a little mason jar set up. And then he had tons of guns with him, and it's like it was guys like this that like obviously nothing happened, but those are the ones you have to worry about because he's not even on the radar. He wasn't on Twitter, he wasn't on Facebook, he wasn't on any of that kind of
Right.
stuff. Somehow he just decided I'm gonna join this thing, and those are the ones that you're more concerned about. I mean, obviously you have to pay attention to international terrorism. It's a thing, but homegrown terrorism is more dangerous for us. It really is. It has
It
been.
is, but
It's
we're
shown.
not. We have not culturally situated the idea of a white man as a terrorist. It's new. Like even if you think back to the Oklahoma City bombing, maybe there were news stories that referred to him as a terrorist, but I don't remember that word being hyped up
No,
the way
it was
the way
more
it is
tamped
for,
down. Yes.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. It was more
Middle
tamped.
Eastern man or things like that.
Brown people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you ignore if they put all the focus on that. That's what then leads to what happened at the Capitol. That
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
all of these true
Yeah.
potential terrorists coming in.
Well, that can be a portion of white privilege, then, can it? Right? There's this. I mean, it's a fucked up.
Totality of it.
But there's the kind that like people are like, well, I don't have white privilege, and they don't pay attention to that. But there's like this kind, right, where when it comes to crime or when it comes to radicalism, it's more like we don't want to see that, so let's just ignore it and act like it's not there.
Right.
Like that's our crazy
It's 'cause they
crazy
wanna
cousin.
dismiss privilege as just a crazy cousin, crazy uncle, or grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
But because people still situate privilege solely to mean wealth generally,
Yeah.
um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's not. Well, I mean, yes, there are plenty of white men, particularly whose power is based in their wealth.
Sure.
But it's the privilege is this unseen thing that allows you to pass through the world without being questioned. And it's like people don't even want to. People just want people to understand the concept of it. I don't think overall people are looking to trash someone because of it. They're
Right.
trying to get people to understand it as a concept, and they don't even want to do that.
Right. Oh, we do have comments.
It's crazy making. We have what?
We had some comments. Oh, Jennifer Hayner-Kun,
Uh-oh.
Brandon Lee Winter. You can see us. Okay, there we go.
Nice.
Finally, I'm getting
Nice.
comments. I was having issues on that. Sorry.
Oh.
So thank you, everybody. Yeah, and that's I think it is. It's ultimate white privilege, especially when you started seeing like the cops moving the guardrails for them.
Oh, yeah.
Like to me,
yeah.
I'm like, I may back up from you because there's no way I can stop this crowd as a cop. I mean, I get that they were unmanned and they undermanned and they needed to get the hell away from that. But usually when you're trying to get away from somebody, you put things in their way.
Yes.
You don't like
Yes.
open it up. And that was one
You
of those
don't.
things I saw that I was like, wow. Like, wow. I mean, you just
And
open it
the
up.
biggest thing for me was what it says about the United States that post 9/11,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That it was that easy to take over the Capitol.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
None of us can get on a damn plane
Without
without
taking our
having to be
shoes off.
screened within an inch of our lives.
Without taking
Thank
our
you.
shoes off.
But the Capitol was able to have that degree of
Yeah.
unfettered access, just people just running up steps and
Running right up them.
what,
Yeah.
which is the story of white privilege. You could not have had
No.
any other group, and it wasn't even like they were a bunch of people in expensive suits, and everyone was puzzled, like, well, who are these nice-looking men in Italian suits coming up the steps? What's happening?
Right.
That's not even what it was.
They had white supremacist gear. They had Confederate flags. They had, things celebrating the Holocaust.
And that was right. That
How do you
was a cause
celebrate-
for alarm?
How do you celebrate something when you don't want to admit it existed? I think that's hilarious. I mean, like the mental gymnastics that has to happen
Yes.
when you go through, like when you're in that level of crazy, is just amazing to me, right?
Yep.
But
That's what it's been. It's been years of mental gymnastics now.
yes, well, and that's what we're seeing, and there's a level of mental gymnastics that's going on. That was the argument that Hawley had, who he's just,
Oh my God! Here we go.
he's trying to make a constitutional argument. He was trying to make a constitutional argument on the vote, saying that it was up to the state legislature to be able to argue, and they could do whatever they want with a law, to select their electors, which is basically saying that yes, we do know that they don't have to go with the vote, but it's never happened that way, right? And so he's kind of saying, well, you don't have to do that. You can do it this way, and like trying to push them to literally ignore the vote. And that's an amazing argument to be making as a constitutional attorney, like as if it's a good thing. And all that does is like if that's a loophole, let's get rid of it. Again, popular vote conversation. Let's get rid of that loophole where you can do this, because obviously if you decide that the states do that, well, that means you're decided to ignore everybody in your state, and that their vote doesn't matter,
And
or only the ones that you don't want to listen to.
Right. And there's a comfortability with even bringing things like this up because so many people, and I don't fault the people. Like I'm not a fan of when people say, Americans are stupid, like just flat out. I think large sections of the country have been very intentionally uneducated about civics. So they don't even know what people are. They hear elected officials saying things, but they don't really have a deep understanding of government and policy to even know how to challenge them.
I think that phrase gets thrown around a lot. It's unconstitutional, and then it's like, well, great, now we have to have a fucking constitutional debate again. But sometimes it's just like it's not unconstitutional. Like the whole thing that we have 45 senators today, Republican senators, who voted to make the statement that essentially that this impeachment trial was unconstitutional because Donald Trump is no longer the president. But you're impeached.
It has nothing to do with anything.
It doesn't make sense to me, right? It's like saying, okay, here you go. You've been hired as the head of this Costco, and we have a policy here at Costco that you can't steal from Costco.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
If you do, you're going to be reprimanded or you're going to be fired, and you might have to go to jail for that because you've done this job.
Right.
And if you steal from Costco and then you quit, you still have to pay for the friggin' crime if you get caught. Okay? Like this idea that, well, he was impeached, but we're not going to try him and find him guilty. It's unconstitutional to impeach to continue
he's
this
gone
trial.
now, and
He's gone now. So basically what you're telling me is if I'm president, I can do the craziest shit one day that's totally illegal and it
Yes.
doesn't matter because I quit. I quit.
Right.
I'm
Well,
good.
what they're saying is if you're a president and you are a wealthy, a wealthy straight white guy, I'll put it that way, you can do whatever you want because they know clear and well no other person could get away with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had how many hours of hearings about Benghazi,
Mm-hmm.
and at that point, Hillary was just a citizen at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think she wasn't. Yeah, I think she had left. She wasn't the Secretary of State at that point. So she was just a citizen.
Right.
So a regular citizen, you feel, deserves all of this scrutiny,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mhm.
a former president,
Nothing.
no.
Nothing. Well,
There's no. I can't. Go ahead.
well, and it's the trough, right? I mean, the scum of the Republican Party. Not saying there isn't scum in the Democratic Party, if somebody wants to say that, but are the ones that attack the Capitol, okay? And they are
Yes.
still thinking that they need that. And what I think it's a huge miscalculation on the Republican side because the Republicans are looking at Republicans, right? That's what they're looking at. I think they're forgetting that there's been a mass exodus of Republicans who are now independents because of how the Republican Party has been. They
True.
could go after those independents, and they could get those independents if they did convict Donald Trump. And they'd still get some of that scum that they'd be finally like, wow, we really got duped, didn't we? We believed his lies. And they will get there, you know? I mean, some of them will get there, some of them won't vote again. But you might get some of those independents who are a little more common sense if you just showed that you had some friggin' backbone against this real just terrible human being. And it's
But
like
they don't anymore, which is why I want the Democrats now to have a serious spine. This
Yeah.
is the moment to do whatever they feel needs to get done. Don't play nice.
completely agree.
Do the thing that needs to get done.
Yeah. Joe Manchin, just shut up and nod.
And I'm afraid
Just
they're
shut
gonna
up.
play nice.
The-
Oh my God, Joe Manchin.
You know,
Joe Manchin's
just-
not even a Democrat. Like it kills me that he's identified as a Democrat. He's a Republican.
he's
far as
basically
I'm concerned.
well, yeah. That's how he stayed in office. It'll be interesting to see if he screws up things. It'll be interesting to see if he's somebody who screws it up for the Democrats because it's just too thin of a line. But I don't understand. It was a missed opportunity for it's still if they do not convict Donald Trump, they have missed the boat on how to gain back credibility, in my opinion. And it's like and then what you're going to see is they're just all in like they have been really on like how do we steal the election? How do we do this? Because we're never going to win another popular vote. Like that's my thought. If they do this, I don't see them ever winning another popular vote unless the Democrats put up a pile of shit as a candidate. Right. I mean, don't rule them out. They might find a way to lose. So, but it's you. I'm with you.
I won't rule it out.
I'm with you. If I'm an independent, but obviously lean left, and as somebody who leans left, I want to see the Democrats like ram shit through. All right, they really do it. You got the power to do it. The Republicans do it. The Republicans have no problem doing it. All right. So do it and unapologize.
They count on the Democrats being easy.
And don't apologize for it. You won. Fuck it. You won. Like, do not apologize. And I think
100%.
and so that's the thing that I mean, and I think that's where a lot of progressives are going to be, that are like going to get pissed at Biden is because like you're not doing enough. You need to do more. You need to do more. But you know, I mean, on the marijuana note, Schumer did say it's one of the top priorities for racial injustice and criminal reform is to decriminalize and also potentially put a descheduling bill out, which is what I said they needed to do for cannabis legalization.
Yes.
So that's one of the things, by the way, that I think is I'm feeling good about, but there's still a bit of a little hey, F you, show me. Thank you, show me. You know.
The jury is still out.
You know, I mean, we'll see. But have it being said now and
Yes.
brought up is very encouraging, because it's being brought up as one of the things that is part of what's needed for criminal justice reform and fixing the racial injustice we've had in our country. And so the fact that it's recognized
100%.
is a big step. And by the way, it's going to be one of the things that I think could be bipartisan. It might be one of the most bipartisan bills that we see. Is marijuana
And the sad part
descheduling.
is it's not because of concern for people who have been horribly, incarcerated unnecessarily. It's going to be because you have a lot of people now who realize how much money they can make off of
Yeah,
the legal,
Oh.
the sale of it.
absolutely. It's
But if
all
that's
about
the way
the
it has to
money.
be to make it happen, I'll take it.
It's fine, and it's funny because you'll see a lot of people in the cannabis activism space that'll get really upset, and they're like, and we've been told that, like we had that when we had our sponsorship from the Colorado Department of Transportation. It was the Don't Drive High. People thought we were joking with that. They were like, "Are you guys joking?" And they're like, "You guys are sellouts." I'm like, they're funding us, so yeah, you could say you're sellouts, but
Right.
we're being, we had a sponsor who believed you should drive safe and not get high before you get behind the wheel. That's
Right.
like, I don't know why that makes us corporate shills to.
That shouldn't be a bad thing.
Well, the thing is that, like, I would tell those guys, it's like, look, I mean, this is what you wanted. You wanted cannabis to arrive to be
Right.
mainstream, but now you don't like what comes with it being mainstream. And honestly, some of this is
Well,
just
yeah.
like tough shit, man. I mean, there's you got to take the good with the bad. Do you want to be able to buy cannabis whenever you want? Do you want to be able to consume? Do you want hemp to grow? Do you want all of these things? It's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows. There's going to be regulations. There's going to be shit you might not like. Too bad, really. I mean, it's way better, honestly, than going to the dealer. Let me tell you. I mean, even when I liked my dealers, it's still better than going to the dealer. For those of you out there who it's not legal yet, it's better than going. You have to sit on the dirty couch. You have to wait for him to finish whatever stupid soapbox he's on, and
Oh
listen
my
to
God,
that
the
shit.
dirty couch. I
You
love
know
it.
what I'm fucking talking about. It's dirty couch, the nasty
do.
coffee table with freaking resin everywhere and cigarettes and shit and just I'm done with that,
Oh my
man.
God.
I'm a dad. I want to just go to the
Yes.
fucking store, buy it, get it, and leave. I don't have
Yes,
time.
on the way home
Don't
from
have
the
time for
grocery
dealer.
store.
And younger
Yes.
kids now, they don't even know what I'm talking about. They're like, "What is all this shit?" But everybody else our age is laughing
They
right
have
now
no
because they
idea.
know.
They have
So-
no idea.
Sorry that there's corporate claws that are going to get into some of the cannabis industry. Just like anything, there's going to be microbrews, just like there are for beer, and you'll find your niches, and you guys will enjoy it. So everybody needs to calm down and just let it happen. And
Yes,
the taxes
I
are
agree.
paying for shit. Like there's a school right now. The school right next to us, our high school. They're totally redoing all the construction for it. They're adding all this wing,
Okay.
they're building it up, they're doing all this work on it. That would not have happened if cannabis was not legalized in Colorado, because the first tranches of money go towards rebuilding and fixing our schools in Colorado. So the tax revenue goes to
Okay.
that first. So that construction doesn't happen without legalization of cannabis. So I mean, every state can do it differently, obviously, and leave it to some states to really mess that up too. And I'm sure
Of course.
we'll see corruption. That's when you know you've arrived. When you see corruption.
When there's corruption.
But it's still it's just one of those things. I mean, it's just going to happen.
But there is something to be said for, using tax dollars from cannabis to improve schools. I just like the connection
Yeah.
of that,
Well,
right?
yeah, that the framers of the Amendment 64 were really brilliant in that, because they actually kind of put that in there. All right, so they put it in
Okay.
that when we vote for this is where it's going to go first. Now we have a thing where we had to vote over again, but that's something we don't have to get into those details. But that was put in there, so it was already in everybody's mind. I can't say no to the schools, and cannabis isn't that bad. I mean, it's been medically legal here for a while, and we've been cool, and nothing's happened. And so, people were already getting there. And then, but the schools was a nice hook. It was a really nice hook, because and so
God knows we need more money for schools. So
we need more money for schools, definitely. So
we
hopefully
do.
we'll we'll see more of that in other states, and you know, of course, then if we do legalize it, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's. Well, I don't know if they do a federal tax. I don't know if they can, but it'd just be interesting to see how it rolls. If there's interstate commerce, I'm sure they can, but.
Right.
I don't know. I'm encouraged by the whole Schumer statement. You know, that is, I mean, if Mitch McConnell said something like that, everybody would be like, "Holy shit, it's going to be legal," because if he was the majority leader, that is. And
Right.
so it's kind of the same
He's
thing
the
with Schumer.
minority leader now.
He is the minority. It's a small minority, but he is the minority.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
And Schumer, we can talk about him in a different episode. I have. It's time for him to go, but.
Is
We'll
it time for Schumer to go? You know who I think it's time to
for
go?
Chuck to
I think
go.
it's time for Diane
know what you're gonna
Leahy to
say.
go. I think Diane Feinstein to go. I think it's time for her to go. I actually do. I think it's time for Chuck Grassley to
I know
go.
people want her to go.
You know,
Yeah, Chuck Grassley's up there, and it's interesting because It's not that I don't think people who are, older. What is he? An octogenarian? He's in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
But is it? Do you still? Isn't there something else you want to be doing now? Like, do you still at 85 or whatever?
some people are workaholics and that's all they know. And I understand that as well. But like, really, dude, it's just like, I mean,
You
it's
need
got
some new blood, younger blood.
there's a lot of old
and
people.
not even
in there.
20. It could be people who are 50s, 60s. It doesn't. It's just you come from. If you entered the Senate, during the Eisenhower administration, right? Maybe it's time
Take a
time to
break.
move
Take a
on.
break. Move on, buddy. Move on. I mean,
You
yeah.
know?
I mean,
That's
if
all I'm saying.
yeah, I mean, these guys. It's just you're too old. Like, especially like, you're in a state where you're most likely not going to lose it to another of the other party. So, like,
Right.
time to go. Leahy. I like Leahy, but he just went to the hospital. He's supposed to be presiding
I
over the
know.
impeachment trial. We
I
should
know.
not have like old people problems in coming into the Senate. Like, and I don't mean it. I really don't mean that in a bad way, but like, I try not. It's just
I did feel weird. I heard him on the. Had some of the proceedings on the other day, and I heard a voice, and I was in the kitchen. I was like, who is that? They sound like they're barely breathing.
I know.
And then I went out. I was like, oh, it's Leahy.
and it's not like I don't
And
like
I
the
want him, I
guy.
hope he lives another
I do too.
for however much
Go
long
relax.
he has, and his
Chill
time.
out.
Yes, go take a break.
God,
somewhere.
man, you've done your job. You've put in your time. Let some young blood in. Like, give a young. Is there a young hot politician
Even
in
new,
your
I don't
area?
wanna, but I don't want to make it
Or-
young. It isn't
I
necessarily
don't mean.
that I want
Well,
someone
everybody's
who's
young compared to
20
him.
and-
So I mean, that's. I mean,
Oh, the shade.
it's. I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just that really, dude. It's like, come on, man.
We should make that a topic. You know what? Since we have to wind up this
We do.
episode, I would love to have a conversation about this, talking about sort of the ages of where people are, and is that an issue or does it depend on the person?
I mean, it really does depend on the person, honestly. But
Mhm.
at the same point, I am of the mind, and this is with our president at the age that he is at, right? I am of the mind where
What?
I'm not saying I mean, we have an age limit for how old you have to be president, right? I'm not saying there needs to be a cutoff age, but I mean, if you
I feel like
can
there should be a comprehension that new energy has to come in.
yes.
You know?
Like, can't you just be a mentor? Can you know what I mean? Like, can you be a like how much
You should become a senator emeritus. That's what
that
it is.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, can you be like behind the guy and help that person out or girl? I'm sorry, I just mean anybody. I
Yes.
mean, but like, can
No,
you
I
do
know what you
that?
mean. I know what you mean.
Like Susan Collins, go ahead and show somebody else how to disappoint people all the time. All right,
Oh my God, Susan Collins, please move to another country.
Please go ahead, be a mentor
I'll pay your
and showing
expenses.
somebody how to cock block everybody's hopes. Do that, please. And just Leave it to somebody else.
That's brilliant.
I
That's
know.
brilliant.
Really, like
Leave it to somebody else.
leave
That's
it
gonna be
to
the title. I'm making a note
somebody
right here.
else.
When we start that topic,
we need to
leave it
talk
to
about that.
somebody
I mean, and I
else.
kind of feel like that with Biden too. But you know, you know what I would love
my
to
God.
see? How awesome would
Don't get
this
me
move
started.
be of
You already
Biden?
know how I feel.
Here's what I would love to see. Biden does the first 100 days, gets things rolling. After a year of his presidency, says, "You know what, guys? I am too old to do this job.
I'm tired.
I have to resign. Kamala is now president of the United States." And like,
It would be interesting. Some people would have heart attacks. That's all right. But yeah,
I would think
Yeah.
that. So, because here's the other thing. Like, I don't think Kamala gets elected president by herself. I don't. I think her best chance was this year, by the way. Her best chance to have been president was this year against Trump. Because he was so bad. Because I just think our country's too damn racist. I do. I really do.
I don't know if it's about
Sexist.
racism,
No, well,
because that
now
was
it's sexist, actually.
literally what people
Sexist,
said
actually.
about
It's really sexist.
Barack.
Well,
Yeah, it's sexism.
it's sexism.
I mean,
Well,
it's the
then,
racism,
then
don't get me wrong, but it's sexism. Because she has more experience than Barack did, so
she has more experience than Barack did. She,
clearly sexism.
it would be sexism. But if she does the job for a few years, see, this is the plan. If she does the job for a couple of years before she has to run for election, you can't say she can't do the job. You can't say a woman can't do the job. You can't,
True.
I mean, so
True.
that's
They'll
my
find
hope
ways,
is,
though.
I'm hoping there was this secret conversation where he said, "Listen, Kamala, I don't want this job. I really thought I was the only one who could do it. Did you know that I barely skated through the election already? Like, he barely tried in the election.
Seriously, barely.
Barely tried. All right.
We don't see. You have to stop. 'Cause
Okay.
we're at the end
All
of the
right.
episode, and now you're gonna start to talk about
All right.
Biden, and I'm going to be talking forever.
I love doing this.
We're gonna at the next episode. I've got it right here. We need to start off with the whole "leave it to somebody else" and
Yeah.
the sort of age
and-
of our elected
yeah.
officials thing.
And I missed the comment. Jennifer Hainer-Kuhn did say term limits, and she's right. There needs to be term limits in the Senate, and
Yes.
sadly there isn't. Yes.
Yes, Jen.
There
You're
does
right.
need to be. That's how you solve the age thing, is term limits. I know.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That does it right there. All right. Well,
Unless someone first gets elected at 75. Then
unless someone first gets elected at 75. It's true. Good point. All right. Well, thank you so much for everybody for joining us today. We had
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
crazy technical difficulties today. So sorry about that. I hope all those of you who stuck with us, thank you very much. We will
Yes, we
continue the
appreciate it.
conversation next week. And until next time, peace, love, and happiness.
Happiness.